Fatma, are you ready? Very good. Good morning, all of you. It is a good morning. It's Tuesday, the 4th of September, 2018. This is the Weber County Commission meeting. Seated to my immediate right is Commissioner Scott Jenkins. To my left is Commissioner James Ebert, and I'm Commissioner Jim Harvey. Our agenda today will be as follows. Our invocation will be a moment of silence. Our item number C is a Pledge of Allegiance, which will be given by Glenna Maureen Rollins, and our thought to the day will be given by Commissioner Ebert. We'll start now with a moment of silence. Thank you. Ms. Rollins.
Everybody please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chair.
Sir, please.
A quick thought of the day. A mind is like a parachute. It does not work if it is not open.
Very. Did you come up with that on your own?
Stacy Skeen.
Very good. It's the time in our agenda where we will now hear thoughts from the public. Those of you who have come to address the commission, please limit your thoughts or your comments to 3 minutes. We ask you to state your name and your address, please.
Good morning, J.D. Delpass, 734 East, 2700 North, North Ogden. Just wanted to express my thanks to you guys as a commission for all that you do. I recognize that there's a lot of hard work that goes in, and just wanted to make sure that you guys know that I'm appreciative of what you do. I do have some concerns. I know this was discussed a lot last week about the retirement package, and that it will be phased out by 2026 for elected officials, or I don't even know if that's also employees, I think. But either way, I just wanted to express my thoughts on that. I feel like that was put into place only a few years ago in about 2014 by the commission then, and it's only been in place for a small amount of time, and it concerns me if James will be receiving that payout. It is within his right legally. I completely understand that. I understand that a law was created and that it was executed, and that as he leaves, he does have the right to take that. But I also applaud you guys for taking efforts to take that benefit away eventually for elected officials. And I just wanted to urge James to not take that. I feel like I work in the private industry, and my retirement comes completely from everything that I contribute and a little bit that my employer contributes, but it's a small percentage that they contribute. And James, you've had a lot of public service in your lifetime, and I understand that you'll receive some Utah retirement from that service plus this. And so you will stand to benefit from a decent monthly pension after you retire. And I just feel that it would be right for you not to accept it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Delpass. Are there any others that would like to comment? Okay.
Mr. Delpass, I really appreciate that comment. And we looked really hard at that. I mentioned last week that I was in favor of ending that right away. But then what you end up doing is you put not only Commissioner Ebert, but other elected officials in a position where they have to sue the county because these are benefits that rightfully belong to them. And it just puts a tarnish on a great career of public service, where you end up having to sue to get the rights that are yours. And so that's why I stated last week that as uptight as I am about this, as much as I'd like to end this right away, I just think it does a disservice, and I feel really bad about it, but at least we're ending it right now. So, anyway.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ebert?
If I could, if I could take a moment on a different subject.
Please.
Okay, a personal preference. Mr. Chief Sullivan, would you come up, sir? If I could just have you have a seat right here in front for a moment. Last year, we had a very large fire. If you would just come up front. We had a very large fire in the Uinta area. It was one of my first exposure to wildland fire, and I worked with multiple fire individuals, firemen, and wildlife from across maybe the western states as they fought that fire. It was just amazing. We had multiple structures that were burnt down and hundreds that were placed in danger. And I watched, actually I drove around with Commissioner Harvey, who about got us killed, to be honest with you, driving around trying to rescue people.
We weren't close to being killed.
We were in the middle of the fire, driving down the road that you couldn't see. And it really touched my heart on the amount of effort and energy that goes in, and the courage of those who fight, especially wildland fires, being right there in the middle of the fire where you have to fight. Well, we just had another fire. And I was actually with Cooper on the way to the Capitol to meet with Romney and LG and Congressman Bishop to talk about wildland issues and wildfire issues. When this fire came in, I was sitting in the truck with Cooper when they were notified they had a fire above Avon. It was about an acre. They jumped the fire break. And on the way back, listening to that fire grow larger and larger and larger, and approaching 800 acres, I think we have total right now, somewhat contained. The fire services that were resources that were pulled automatically out of Tooele to fight it from the air. And I just want to commend you as the chief for the amount of work and the manner in which that fire was fought under your command. It is a dynamic environment, wildland fires, and the threats to possible structures heading up to Powder Mountain, all the concerns they had with the gun range, the marshaling of those resources. I just want to commend you and your staff for the amazing work that was put in and for the energy and cooperation. It was just amazing. That fire could have got out of control really fast. Now, 800 acres is a lot of acres, but 10,000 is what that fire could have turned into. So from me, but also from this commission, thank you for the amount of work, for the professional manner in which your firefighters fought that fire, and for the work that was done to keep it from getting larger and larger. So I just wanted to recognize the chief here and say thank you very much for the amazing job you and your firefighters did.
Thank you.
Yes.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
No, also last year, your leadership was evident. It was again this year. Welcome to your new command.
Thank you.
Although it's a little old, but you're doing a great job. And we really, I especially appreciate, well, let me say this. While the fire is now 100% contained, while we had another fire at North Fork Park that was extinguished, I don't think that people fully understand, like the 4th of July, between 11 o'clock at night and 3 in the morning, when we had 19 other fires that didn't hit a different class. They were all just put out. And what would or could the Avon fire have been if we didn't have such a great group of proactive, trained individuals who knew how to manage the fire? And that's led by you. And I just wanted to compliment you and thank you for being proactive in your approach and for containing and doing what you did do under the circumstances. Thank you, Chief Sullivan.
I want to add my thank you as well and give you applause.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, I really wish Rick Cooper were here because he's the guy that really deserves a lot of the accolades. And that morning, believe it or not, we had just done the tour. So he took me up. We went up to the gun range to see the mitigation work that had been done there. And believe it or not, there was some mitigation work done. I think it would have been worse without it. We went up through Nordic and saw a lot of the mitigation work that's been done there as far as cleaning up a lot of yards and pulling a lot of things out. We went up to Causey Estates and looked at the extensive work that's been done up there. And as you stand and look, you know, and I looked when we went into the meeting with the citizens up in Eden, you know, and I'm outside and I'm looking up at that mountainside and the potential, the amount of fuel up there. And you saw with a gunshot, it takes almost nothing to spark these fires. These guys are working all summer long. So not only in the mitigation end of things, but also on the response end of things, having the experience and having these fires and having our fire warden who's so connected and he's got such clout and credentials with the state that he's able to get those resources going right away. Because when he calls, they believe him, you know, and they know they're needed. They know something's going on. So that's why we have such a rapid response and such a great coalition of people that come in from around the state, around the country, the western United States. But you know, the other thing I was thinking of, though, it takes only a little spark. And I'm looking at all that fuel up on the mountainside. One of the reasons why we don't have a lot of the fires we do is because we have citizenry who takes this stuff very seriously. And there's people out there doing mitigation work on their own properties, as well as there's people who understand right now with the conditions that we have that they need to be careful and not be taking risk with fire and fireworks. And I know the Upper Valley, when we did the restrictions, when we started those restrictions, especially it was after the 4th of July, we started restrictions because it just got so dry. It's so dry, we're such a drought right now, that people wanted that. And they weren't very angry. We had actually a lot of support from the community. So we have a tremendous community. We have a great commission who are very supportive and they understand the problem. So we are good together. So.
Thank you, Chief.
But thank you very much.
I just want to hit on one other thing. I think we hit on prevention. Prevention is awesome. I think we need to get him with the DGO group and then get this message out one more time. But I've sat through some of the meetings in UN, and I know we had the same type of meetings after this fire. There's a tremendous amount of connectivity from fire services when we have events like this to those communities, because we did evacuate in both of those instances.
Yes.
And those folks are very concerned about their property, about their life, and they're going to be able to get back in. And then post-incident steps by the fire services. And I saw that in the UN fire. I've seen this happen in this fire also. And I want to commend you, not only just doing the cool stuff, right, getting out there and fighting fires, but then circling back and helping the citizens recover and showing them that you care about them and you understand that they're concerned. So again, kudos to the 360, the whole system approach you take to dealing with your responsibilities as a chief. So thank you, sir.
You betcha. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. One last thing for the public. This is still an active fire. There's a fire presence with personnel there. If anyone is watching, we encourage you to make sure that you're not up on Avon doing any shooting anywhere else. The fire guys aren't dressed in hunter orange. They're dressed in fire protective gear. And so please do not involve yourself with anything around that area because it's still active and we have personnel moving around. Thank you. Also, just before we transition to item number F, which is our consent items, Mr. Dalpass, thank you for your comments. Thank you for caring enough to come to our commission meeting. I will say that while it was a tough decision, from a liability standpoint, I'll stand by it was the right decision under the circumstances that we're aware of. But thank you. Your uncle, your father, your dad, your Mike would be proud of you. Uncle Mike. Our consent items, Commissioners, item number F, consent items, request for approval of warrants 1533 and 1538, or through 1538 and 431 527 through 431 673 in the amount of $1,078,803.20. Item 2 is a request for approval of purchase orders in the amount of $9,185.83. Item 3 is a request for approval of AHC payments to the U.S. Bank in the amount of $144,130.70. for purchasing card transactions made through the billing cycle ending August 27th, 2018. Item 4 is a request for approval of minutes for meetings held on August 28th, 2018. And item 5 is a request for approval of new business licenses. Commissioners, invite any questions at this time.
I don't have a question, but I would like to express my appreciation. Commissioner Jenkins was a little concerned about the ability to access a little deeper into these PO and the warrants, and you've included additional information, at least on ours, that allows him to more easily access the vendor and a description of the specific items, how that was spent, which I think is tremendously important to us, and I just want to say thank you for being responsive to that specific request.
Perfect. We have today Mr. Ryan Calley sitting in for Ricky Hatch. Mr. Calley, will you go over some detail for us, please?
I can. So on the POs, there were 7 purchase orders for $9,000. 27% of that, or $2,500, was for the Golden Spike Event Center for rugs, towels, and mops. 26%, or $2,400, was for the attorney's office for computers and a tablet. And then on the checks, there were 153 checks for roughly $1.1 million. 41%, or $440,000 of that, was for library construction, mostly for the North Branch and a little bit for the main library, just finishing up there. 14%, or $147,000, was for roads, for chip and tack oil. 10%, or $105,000, was for impact fees and escrow release to the Central Weber Water District. And 6% was for the attorney's office for software annual maintenance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Calley. Commissioners, any questions about any of those items?
I had no questions. I went over them, and I would make a motion that we approve.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Second.
And then we have a motion and a second. Call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Commissioners, point of preference, or privilege, I should say. Amanda Klauman. Mandy. Is she here? Let me read something. Let me read something just really quick. She works in our assessor's office, and John Uliberry is our Weber County assessor, our voter assessor. But every month we give a stall of fame, or a parking stall that's right up next to the building for the employee that goes above and beyond. This particular season is going to be given to Mandy Klauman to receive the Stall of Fame award. Let me just take a minute to briefly tell you what John Uliberry had to say about her. Mandy is a superstar in our office. In her short tenure with us, she has already earned the respect of her teammates, as evidenced by her Co-Worker of the Year award in 2017. Mandy started off with us as a personal property appraiser before transitioning over to the real property side. She is one of our highest producing appraisers and has the best quality of any residential appraiser as well. Mandy has done so well, in fact, that we routinely move her into increasingly more complicated tasks. Mandy is also very smart. Without any previous appraisal experience or education, we threw her into the most complicated appraisal course offered to add Valor appraisers in Utah. Mandy came down with a cold the day the class started and got progressively worse throughout the week. However, she powered through the test on Friday and completed the course with a 94%, far exceeding the average score of the other students nationwide. Finally, and most importantly, Mandy is one of the nicest people you'll ever have the pleasure of meeting. She is always pleasant and kind to people, even when they may not deserve it. Mandy is very deserving of the award. In the end, we are very fortunate to have Mandy working for the assessor's office. So Mandy, if you're seeing this at another time, congratulations and thanks for doing a great job. Art Close give you a little, it won't help with your 10,000 steps a day, but it'll make it easier for you. Commissioners, I'll go to item G now or our action items on the agenda. Item G is a request for approval of a contract mine between Weber County and the Cost Control Associates, Inc. for cost analysis and reduction. Glenna Rollins, our presenter.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Rollins.
Well, Lynn Taylor asked me to come present this to you. I think you've got most of the information in front of you already. The purpose of the contract is cost control will come in, they'll analyze our utility bills, going back a year or two, looking for savings, rebates, anything of that nature. There is no cost to us unless they find us a savings, in which case it would be 18% of whatever monies they're able to recover for us. I'm just here to request your approval on the contract.
So they basically save us some money and they take a small commission and we save the rest.
Yes.
Very good. Commissioners, entertain any questions for Ms. Rollins?
Lana, can you tell me how long that contract's good for?
The
In
one
other words, when
question
we're
I
paying them
forgot.
savings, how long are we paying them savings?
Okay, let me see. Well, the way it says here is CCA will share in the resulting savings at an 18% rate for the first 12 months following implementation of the changes. So it's month to month, it's for a year. They're going to dig in and look at all of our past things. Any money they recover, they will take that money, 18%
So 12
of
months.
it.
That's
Yes,
good.
we've done this in the past, a couple of years ago, a few years back. The rate the company at that point charged was 30%. We were able to negotiate a much lower rate. And at that time, they ended up saving us about $23,000 a year.
And that verifies with the contract that we have. Thank you. Commissioner, any other questions?
Yeah, the initial term of the agreement is 1 year.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the contract by and between Weber County and Cost Control Associates, Inc. for cost analysis and reduction for 1 year.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Rollins.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Ms. Stewart, it's a request for approval of an amendment. Number 2, a request for approval of an amendment to a local transportation funding agreement by and between Weber County and West Haven City to establish amended terms related to the West Haven 3300 South project. Brooke Stewart.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you.
Yep, this is an amendment to a funding agreement that the Commission passed in September of 2017. Originally, the Commission approved $89,960 in corridor preservation funds and $257,791 in sales tax funds for the 3300 South project in West Haven City from the boundaries of 2050 West to 2350 West. Since the funding has been awarded, that section of road has had some significant development, and a lot of it has been developed as that development has come in. So what it has done is left a 900-foot gap in a section of road that West Haven came back in and submitted an amendment request to the Transportation Subcommittee asking if they could move the boundaries of that project to fill that 900-foot gap, not requesting any additional funds. So what they're asking for is it's been widened from the north side from 2300 West to Midland Drive, and on the south side from 2700 West to 2450. So that 900-foot gap is from 2450 West to 2350 West. That will complete the project from 2700 West to Midland Drive with the storm drain filled in, or the open ditch filled in on the south side. So that amendment request was approved by WACOG on May 7th in 2018. We're just requesting your approval.
Formalization. Thank you. Commissioners, any questions for Ms. Stewart on this particular project? None being heard, I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Ms. Stewart, thank you. Let's go to item number 3, which is a request for approval of the resolution of an interlocal cooperation agreement by and between Weber County and West Haven City to establish terms related to the 2550 South project. Ms. Stewart?
Yep, this is an interlocal agreement. It sets the terms for the funds that are outlined and also outlines the collaborative efforts between West Haven City and Weber County. This agreement is also having the county appoint the local transportation fund manager as the administrator for all matters relating to the county's participation in this agreement. Just to provide you a little back history on this 2550 South project, back in 2013 and 2018, the County Commission approved $412,400 in corridor preservation funds to purchase the right-of-way for Phase 1 and 2 of West Haven's portion of 2550 South. And in 2013, the project was also awarded $1,985,000 for the construction of that Phase 1 and 2. So in the fall of 2017, West Haven City came back and submitted an amendment request due to some unforeseen costs with the utilities and just general construction costs increasing. And they requested $933,000 additional funds in sales tax to finish out phase 2 of that project. There was some discussions at length in the subcommittee regarding a logical stopping point of 2550 South, and the subcommittee eventually recommended to WACOG, which WACOG approved, an additional $2.5 million in sales tax funds to finish that section of road down to 3500 West, which is Weber County's project that has recently been improved and widened, and they felt like that was a logical area for that project to go. So this interlocal agreement is just spelling out the collaborative terms with West Haven and Weber County. Weber County has the right-of-way funds to acquire all of the properties within the county section of that road, and West Haven City will be completing the construction, and they felt like this would be the most cost-effective way and reduce costs on mobilization and others if West Haven City were to complete the construction. This interlocal agreement has terms in it where Weber County will be working with their construction management and collaborating to make sure that it's built to Weber County standards.
Very good. Commissioners, entertain any questions for Ms. Stewart?
I have a question. It's not specific to this contract, but who presently is representing Weber County on that subcommittee? Do we have someone appointed?
Commissioner Jenkins.
I'm good.
Very good.
Of course, this action took place prior.
Right. Correct.
We're aware of that. This is a good project. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion for item 3.
Yes, it's a resolution.
It's a resolution, so resolution number 44. Commissioners, a motion?
I'll make a motion. We approve resolution 44, approving interlocal cooperation agreement.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Fatima?
Commissioner Ebert. Aye. Commissioner Jenkins.
Aye.
And Gerhart.
Aye. Resolution carries. Thank you, Ms. Stewart. I want to recognize Mark Benigni here from Weber Pathways. Welcome, Mark. We always good to have you here. Mr. Wilkinson, item number 4 is a request for approval of to spend impact fees for the Wolf Creek Drive pathway and Snowcrest to Valley Market pathway. Thank you, Mr. Wilkinson.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. You have before you a request to spend impact fees from the Upper Valley Trails account, and this would be for the Wolf Creek Drive pathway and the Snowcrest Valley Market pathway, as you mentioned. The total amount is $76,757, and a portion of that has not been accounted for quite yet, but we anticipate another invoice coming in very soon, which would take care of the approximately $11,000 that we would be fronting to cover those incidental costs. Other than that, the work is proceeding well, and we expect the Snowcrest Valley Market pathway work has been completed, and we expect the Wolf Creek Drive pathway to continue and hopefully be completed this year. If not, then early next year.
Very good. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Wilkinson of this project?
So these are 2 different pathways, is that correct?
They are. That's correct. Yes.
So, Sean, the Wolf Creek Drive, they're working on that right now, right?
That's correct.
So
yes.
when we were up there the other day, that's the project they were working on.
Yes.
On the east side of the road.
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
Commissioners, any other questions for Mr. Wilkinson? None being recognized or heard, I'll entertain a motion. We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. I jumped the gun. Item number H is I threw in there inadvertently, and I apologize for that, Commissioners, but I'd entertain any comments from either one of the two of you or chastisement for my inability to read. Great. Thank you for sparing.
Well, I'm just formulating still.
That's okay. That time is gone. Entertain a motion for item number I.
I'll make a motion we adjourn.
Motion? Okay, I'm going to second that motion. We're adjourned.